All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Let me adjust my camera. Day number, type it in the chat, 16. We've made it far, guys. We've made it far. We're day number 16 of our Bible in 90 days where we try, or we're not going to try, we are. We're doing the entire Bible in 90 days on live stream every single day at 2 p.m. So thank you for watching on the live. My dog is barking like crazy right at my door, so I'm just totally distracted. Thank you for watching live and on the replay. We are finally in the book of Joshua. Thank you, Lord. We've gotten through Leviticus. We've gotten through Numbers. We've gotten through Deuteronomy. We are starting Joshua. Moses is dead. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but he's dead. He just died. And Joshua is now taking charge. And we're going into Joshua chapter 1. I hope you're following along. You can join at any time. I know somebody, I didn't start on day 1. It's okay. You could watch the replay if you have like a long commute every day. But you could also join at any time with us, and it's just a fun thing. Engage in the chat, hang out, talk, have fun, whatever. All right, whatever. We're reading the Bible. It's fun. So here we go. Joshua, chapter 1, verse 1. I should probably start recording. That might help. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, Cherish. My sister is so faithful. She's always in here every day. Thank you, Cherish. Appreciate you. All right, here we go. We're recording Joshua 1:1. I'm excited. No more reading about the law of this and the law of that, and don't kill the squirrel owl, and don't kill. All right, here we go. Chapter 1, verse 1. After the death of Joshua, no! I was in my mind, I was like, let me see how long I can go without making a mistake. And I made a mistake on the 5th word. Because it said the Lord's charged Joshua, and I read Joshua instead of Moses. All right, here we go. For real this time. Here we go. We can do this. After the death of Moses, the Lord's servant, the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' assistant. He said, Moses, my servant, is dead. Therefore, the time has come for you to lead these people, the Israelites, across the Jordan River into the land I'm giving them. I promise you what I promised Moses. Wherever you set your foot will be the land I have given you. From the Negev wilderness in the south to the Lebanon mountains in the north, from the Euphrates River in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, including all the land of the Hittites. No one will be able to stand against you as long as you live. For I will be with you as I was with Moses, and I will not fail or abandon you. Be strong and courageous, for you're the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I would give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you, and do not deviate from them, turning either to the right or left. Then you'll be successful in everything you do. Study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, so you'll be sure to obey everything written in it. Only then you will prosper and succeed in all you do. This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I mean, that's a word. Highlight in the chat. Joshua then commanded the officers of Israel, go through the camp and tell the people to get their provisions ready. In 3 days, you'll cross the Jordan River and take possession of the land the Lord your God is giving you. Then Joshua called together the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh, and told them, remember what Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you. The Lord your God is giving you a place of rest. He has given you this land. Your wives, children, and livestock may remain here in the land Moses assigned to you on the east side of the Jordan River. But your strong warriors, fully armed, must lead the other tribes across the Jordan to help them conquer their territory. Stay with them until the Lord gives them rest, as he's given you rest, and until they, too, possess the land the Lord your God is giving them. Only then you may return and settle here on the east side of the Jordan River on the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, assigned to you. Remember, these guys did not want to cross the Jordan. They did not want to go into the promised land. Like so many of us, we don't want to go into what God's called us to do. We just want to be where it's comfortable. And these guys wanted to stay where it was comfortable for their families and livestock rather than crossing over into the place of the supernatural. So don't be Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh. They want to stay in their comfort zone when God clearly said we need to cross over into the land he's given us. Preach, brother. I'm trying. They answered Joshua, we will do whatever you command us, and we'll go wherever you send us. We will obey you just as we obeyed Moses. And may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against your orders and does not obey your words and everything you command will be put to death, so be strong and courageous. Chapter 2. Oh man, it's so nice. It's so nice not reading laws and sacrifices. Oh man, it feels so good. Chapter 2. Then Joshua secretly sent out 2 spies from the Israelite camp at Acacia Grove. He instructed them, scout out the land on the other side of the Jordan River, especially around Jericho. So the 2 men set out and came to the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there that night. I mean, if you're going to try to find a place to stay, yeah, interesting. But someone told the king of Jericho, some Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land, which God is going to end up using her, but you'll see in a minute. So the king of Jericho sent orders to Rahab, "Bring out the men who have come into your house, for they've come here to spy the whole land." Rahab had hidden the two men, but she replied, "Yes, the men were here earlier, but I didn't know where they were from. They left the town at dusk as the gates were about to close. I don't know where they went. If you hurry, you can probably catch up with them." Somebody asked a long time ago in my Q&A, is it okay to ever lie? And I was like, I don't know if there's a place in scripture where it's okay to lie. Well, this right here was okay to lie. Anyway. Actually, well, this is what she really did. So she lied to them. Actually, she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them beneath the bundles of flax she had laid out. So the king's men went looking for the spies along the road leading to the shallow crossings of the Jordan River. And as soon as the king's men had left, the gate of Jericho was shut. Before the spies went to sleep that night, Rahab went up on the roof to talk with them. "I know the Lord has given you this land," she told them. "We're all afraid of you. Everyone in the land is living in terror. For we've heard how the Lord made a dry path for you through the Red Sea when you left Egypt. And we know what you did to Sihon and Og and the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River. Those people you completely destroyed. No wonder our hearts have melted in fear. No one has the courage to fight after hearing such things. For the Lord your God is the supreme God of heavens above and the earth below. Now swear to me to the Lord that you will be kind to me and my family since I've helped you. Give me some guarantee that when Jericho is conquered, you'll let me live along with my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all their families. We offer our own lives as a guarantee for your safety." The men agreed. "If you don't betray us, we will promise to be kind and we will promise. Wait, what? We will keep our promise." Sometimes the words just don't look right. "We will keep our promise and be kind to you when the Lord gives us the land." I don't know. Sometimes the words just grow wings and fly away, and I just can't find them or see them. Then, since Rahab's house was built under the town wall, she let them down by a rope through the window. "Escape to the hill country," she told them. "Hide there for 3 days from the men searching for you. Then, when they've returned, you can go on your way." Before they left, the men told her, "We'll be bound by the oath we've taken only if you follow these instructions. When we come into the land, you must leave the scarlet rope hanging from the window through which you let us down." I preached a sermon a long time ago about this. Man, memories. "And all your family members, your father, mother, brothers, and relatives must be here inside the house." Isn't that like the blood of Jesus, the scarlet rope? The grace right there. Amen. "If they go into the street and are killed, it'll not be our fault. But if anyone lays a hand on the people in this house, we will accept the responsibility for their death. If you betray us, however, we are not bound by this oath in any way." My dad said, "Come on, Junior. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Big Chief." If you guys are wondering, Nick Saldivar in the chat, Nick Sluggo Saldivar, that's my father. That's my dad. Thanks, Dad. Thanks for bringing me to the earth. "I accept your terms," she replied, and she sent them on their way, leaving the scarlet rope hanging from the window. The spies went up to the hill country and stayed there 3 days. The men who were chasing them searched everywhere along the road, but they finally returned without success. Then the two spies came down from the hill country, crossed the Jordan River, and reported to Joshua all that had happened to them. "The Lord has given us the whole land," they said, "for all the people in the land are terrified of us." Chapter 3. The Israelites crossed the Jordan. Early the next morning, Joshua and all the Israelites left Acacia Grove and arrived at the banks of the Jordan River, where they camped before crossing. 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. "When you see the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your positions and follow them. Since you've never traveled this way before, they'll guide you. Stay about a half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the Ark, and make sure you don't come any closer." Then Joshua told the people, "Purify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do great wonders among us." In the morning, Joshua said to the priests, "Lift up the Ark of the Covenant and lead the people across the river." And so they started out and went ahead of the people. The Lord told Joshua, "Today I will begin to make you a great leader in the eyes of all the Israelites. They will know that I am with you, just as I was with Moses. Give this command to the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant. When you reach the banks of the Jordan River, take a few steps in the river and stop there." So Joshua told the Israelites, "Come and listen to what the Lord your God says. Today you'll know that the living God is among you. He will surely drive out the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Micanite, Amorites, Jebusites ahead of you. Look, the Ark of the Covenant, which belongs to the Lord, the whole earth, will lead you across the Jordan River. Now choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, one from each tribe. The priests will carry the Ark of the Lord of all the earth. As soon as their feet touch the water, the flow of water will be cut off upstream, and the river will stand up like a wall." So the people left their camp across the Jordan, and the priests who were carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead. It was the harvest season, and the Jordan was overflowing its banks. But as soon as the feet of the priests who were carrying the ark touched the water at the river's edge, the water above that point began backing up a great distance away at a town called Adam, which is near Zarethan. And the water below the point flowed on the Dead Sea until the river was dried. Then all the people crossed crossed over near the town of Jericho. Meanwhile, the priests who were carrying the ark of the Lord's covenant stood on dry ground in the middle of the river as the people passed by. They waited there until the whole nation of Israel had crossed the Jordan on dry ground. Chapter 4. Memorials to the Jordan crossing. When all the people had crossed the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Now choose 12 men, one from each tribe. Tell them, take 12 stones from the very place where the priests are standing in the middle of the Jordan. Carry them out and pile them at the place you'll camp tonight." So Joshua called together the 12 men he had chosen from each of the tribes of Israel, and he told them, "Go into the middle of the Jordan in front of the ark of the Lord your God. Each of you must pick up one stone and carry it out on your shoulder, 12 stones in all, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. We will use these stones to build a memorial. In the future, your grandchildren will ask, 'What do these stones mean?'" Now, if you don't know, in the Old Testament, they constantly had them make monuments whenever God would do something, because as humans, we so quickly forget what the Lord has done before. And when we doubt him, we can go back and say, "No, look what he's done." We remember what he's done. So always remind yourself of what God has done in your life. When you feel dry, when you feel stale, when you feel like God isn't moving, build memorials in your life to remind yourself. A journal is a good way. Journaling is great because you can look back and say, "Look what the Lord did." I have journals from the day I got saved to the first month, and I can look back from the night I got saved. I started writing things down, and I could remind myself of the goodness of God. Then you can tell them. So when the kids ask, "What are these stones?" Verse 7, then you can tell them. They remind us of what they remind us that the Jordan River stopped flowing when the ark of the Lord's covenant went across. These stones will stand as a memorial among the people of Israel forever. So the men did as Joshua commanded them. They took 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan River, one for each tribe, just as the Lord had told Joshua. They carried them to the place where they camped for the night and constructed the memorial there. Joshua also set up another pile of 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, at that place where the priests who carried the ark of the covenant were standing, and they are there to this day. The priests who were carrying the ark stood in the middle of the river until all the Lord's commands that Moses had given to Joshua were carried out. Meanwhile, the people hurried across the riverbed. And when everyone was safely on the other side, the priests crossed over the ark of the Lord as the people watched. The armed warriors from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh led the Israelites across the Jordan just as Moses had directed. Now, this is the last stop. This river is the one thing separating them from the promised land. They were literally miles from the promised land. For 40 years they wandered, and they were just miles away from the promised land. So yeah, interesting how we can spend years wandering away from something that's just right there in our grass. Preach, brother. I'm trying not to. These armed men, about 40,000 strong, were ready for battle, and the Lord was with them as they crossed over the plains of Jericho. That day the Lord made Joshua a great leader in the eyes of all the Israelites, and for the rest of his life they revered him as much as they revered Moses. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Command the priests carrying the ark of the covenant to come up out of the riverbed." So Joshua gave the command. As soon as the priests carrying the ark of the Lord's covenant came up out of the riverbed and their feet were on high ground, the water of the Jordan returned and overflowed its banks as before. The people crossed the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month. Then they camped at Gilgal, just east of Jericho. It was there at Gilgal that Joshua piled up the 12 stones taken from the Jordan River. Then Joshua said to the Israelites, "In the future, your children will ask, 'What do these stones mean?' Then you'll tell them, 'This is where the Israelites crossed the Jordan on dry ground.'" This is so good. It's just so refreshing getting to read these stories. And, we're not reading the laws the whole time. It's been a long time, guys. It's been a week of reading laws. Here we go. For the Lord your God has dried up the river right before your eyes, and he kept it dry until you were all across, just as he did the Red Sea. When he dried it up until we had all crossed over. Okay, interesting wording. He did this so all the nations of the earth might know that the Lord's hand is powerful, and so you might fear the Lord your God forever. Chapter 5. When all the Amorite kings west of the Jordan and all the Canaanite kings who lived among the Mediterranean coast heard how the Lord had dried up the Jordan River so the people of Israel could cross, they lost their heart and were paralyzed with fear because of them. Kind of like when some of you ladies see a spider. This is what happens to you. At that time, the Lord told Joshua, "Make flint knives and circumcise the second generation of Israelites." So Joshua made flint knives and circumcised the entire male population of Israel at Gibeath Haraloth. Joshua had to circumcise them because they were all men who were old enough to fight in battle when they left Egypt, had died in the wilderness. Those who left Egypt had all been circumcised, but none of those born after the Exodus during the years in the wilderness had been circumcised. The Israelites had traveled in the wilderness for 40 years until all the men who were old enough to fight in battle when they had left Egypt had died. For they had disobeyed the Lord, and this goes back to when God said, anyone who's 20 and under will be able to see the promise, but anyone 20 and over will die in the wilderness. So that's what it's talking about. None of those people that were born in the wilderness 40 years were circumcised. So this was Not fun. A land flowing with milk and honey. So Joshua circumcised their sons, those who had grown up to take their father's place, for they had not been circumcised on the way to the promised land. After all the males had been circumcised, they rested in the camp until they were healed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I've rolled over the shame of your slavery in Egypt." So that place is called Gilgal to this day. While the Israelites were camped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, they celebrated Passover on the evening of the 14th day of the first month. The very next day, they began to eat unleavened bread and roasted grain harvested from the land. No manna appeared on the day they ate from the crop. No manna appeared on the day they first ate from the crops of the land, and it was never seen again. So from that time on, the Israelites ate from the crops of Canaan. When Joshua was near the town of Jericho, he looked up and saw a man standing in front of him with a sword in his hand. Joshua went up to him and demanded, "Are you a friend or a foe?" "Neither one," he replied. "I'm the commander of the Lord's army." At this, Joshua fell with his face to the ground in reverence. "I am at your command," Joshua said. "What do you want your servant to do?" The commander of the Lord's army replied, "Take off your sandals, for the place you're standing is holy." And Joshua did as he was told. Chapter 6. The fall of Jericho. Now the gates of Jericho were tightly shut because the people were afraid of the Israelites. No one was allowed to go out or in. But the Lord said to Joshua, "I've given you Jericho, its king, and all its strong warriors. You and your fighting men should march around the city, or march around the town once for 6 days. 7 priests will walk ahead of the ark, each carrying a ram's horn. On the 7th day, you are to march around the town 7 times with the priests blowing the horns. When you hear the priest giving one long blast on the ram's horns, you have all the people shout as loud as they can. Then the walls of the town will collapse and the people will charge straight into the town." So I want you guys to notice, they marched 6 days and absolutely nothing happened. They were walking, but nothing happened. It wasn't until the 7th day where something happened. And sometimes the Lord will have you marching and nothing's happening and you think you're wasting your time, but get ready because day 7's coming. Preach! So Joshua called together the priests and said, "Take up the ark of the Lord's covenant and assign 7 priests to walk in front of it, each carrying a ram's horn." Then he gave orders to the people, "March around the town, and the armed men will lead the way in front of the ark of the Lord." After Joshua spoke to the people, the 7 priests with the ram's horn started marching in the presence of the Lord, blowing the horns as they marched. And the ark of the Lord's covenant followed behind him. Some of the armed men marched in front of the priests with the ram's horn and behind the ark with the priests continually blowing the horns. "Do not shout, do not even talk," Joshua commanded. "Not a single word from any of you until I tell you to shout. Then shout." So the ark of the Lord was carried around the town once that day, and then everyone returned to spend the night in the camp. Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests again carried the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests with the ram's horns marched in front of the ark of the Lord, blowing their horns. Again, the armed men marched in front of the priests with the horns and behind the ark of the Lord. All the time, the priests were blowing the horns. On the 2nd day, they again marched around the town once and returned to the camp, and they followed this pattern for 6 days. On the 7th day, the Israelites got up at dawn and marched around the town as they'd done before. But this time, they went around the town 7 times. Imagine them marching and they're like, "Nothing's happening. You're telling us to march. We did this for 6 days and nothing, there's no breakthrough." And a lot of us would give up on the 2nd time, the 3rd time, the 4th time. But you just got to keep marching until you get a breakthrough. On the 7th day, the Israelites got up at dawn and marched around the town as they'd done before. But this time, they went 7 times. The 7th time around, as the priests sounded the long blast on their horns, Joshua commanded the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the town. Jericho and everything in it must be completely destroyed. And as an offering to the Lord, only Rahab the prostitute and the others in the house will be spared, for she protected our spies. Do not take any of the things set apart for destruction, or you yourselves will be destroyed, and you'll be in trouble, and you'll bring trouble on the camp of Israel. Everything made from silver, gold, bronze, or iron is sacred to the Lord and must be brought into his treasury." When the people heard the sound of the ram's horns, they shouted as loud as they could. Suddenly, the walls of Jericho collapsed, and the Israelites charged straight into the town and captured it. They completely destroyed everything in it with their swords, men and women, young and old, cattle, sheep, goats, and donkeys. Donkey. Meanwhile, Joshua said to the 2 spies, "Keep your promise. Go to the prostitute's house and bring her out along with her family." The men who had been spies went in and brought out Rahab, her father, mother, brothers, and all the relatives who were with her. They moved her whole family to a safe place near the camp of Israel. Then the Israelites burned down the town and everything in it. Only things made from silver, gold, bronze, or iron were kept for the treasury of the Lord's house. So Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute and her relatives who were with her in the house, because she had hidden the spies Joshua sent to Jericho. Then she lived among the Israelites to this day. At that time, Joshua invoked this curse: "May the curse of the Lord fall on anyone who tries to rebuild the town of Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn son, he will lay its foundation. At the cost of his youngest son, he'll set up its gates. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his reputation spread throughout the land. No lag. It's not lagging on my end. Everything's smooth. Maybe refresh your feed. All right. Chapter 7. A defeats the Israelites. But Israel violated the instructions. Look at, oh yeah, this is the bobblehead. Look at this one. This is the one that a pastor got me. That's an interesting lineup. But the Israel violated the instructions about the things set up for the Lord. A man named Achan had stolen some of these dedicated things. Sorry, I get distracted easy. So the Lord was very angry with the Israelites. Achan was a son of Carmi, a descendant of Zimri, son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah. Joshua sent some of his men from Jericho to spy out the town of A, east of Bethel, near Beth Aven. When they returned, they told Joshua, "There's no need for all of us to go up there. It won't take more than 2,000 or 3,000 men to attack A. Since there are so few of them, don't make all our people struggle to go up there." So approximately 3,000 warriors were sent, but they were soundly defeated. The men of A chased the Israelites from the town gate as far as the quarries, and they killed about 36 who were retreating down the slope. The Israelites were paralyzed with fear at this turn of events, and their courage melted away. Yeah, this one has a suit. Has a blue suit. I think I have that exact undershirt, actually. Oh, they must have sent a picture of me wearing my blue suit with that undershirt. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was wearing that undershirt in the picture they probably sent. And that belt. Okay, so it makes sense. All right. So just to catch you up, they got defeated because there's secret sin in the camp. And so the Lord allowed them to be defeated, which is why when you have secret sin in your life, the battles that should be easy for you to overcome are very hard because there's secret sin. So the Lord's not fighting with you. Joshua and the elders of Israel tore their clothing in dismay. They threw dust on their heads and bowed face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord until evening. Then Joshua cried out, "Oh, sovereign Lord, why did you bring us across the Jordan if you're going to let the Amorites kill us? If only we'd been content to stay on the other side. Lord, can I say now that Israel has fled from its enemies? For when the Canaanites and all the other people living in the land hear about it, they'll surround us and wipe our name off the face of the earth. And then what will happen to the honor of your great name?" But the Lord said to Joshua, "Get up. Why are you lying on your face like this? Israel has sinned and broken my covenant. They've stolen some of the things that I commanded to be set apart for me. And they have not stolen them. And they have not only stolen them, but they've lied about it and hidden the things among their own belongings. That is why the Israelites were running from their enemies in defeat. For now, Israel itself has been set apart for destruction." Oh, it's brutal. "I will not remain with you any longer unless you destroy the things among you that were set apart for destruction. Get up. Command the people to purify themselves in preparation for tomorrow." So basically Joshua's like, "Oh Lord, how could you do this to me? You didn't show up. You said you wouldn't." God's like, "It's your fault. It's not me. It's you guys. There's secret sin in the camp. So don't be blaming me for you losing battles because you're hiding idols." So the Lord's like, "Get up. Stop crying." This is what the Lord says, the God of Israel. "Hidden among you, O Israel, are things set apart for the Lord. You'll never defeat your enemies until you remove these things from among you. In the morning you must present yourselves by tribes, and the Lord will point out the tribe to which the guilty man belongs. That tribe must come forward with its clans, and the Lord will point out the guilty clan. That clan will then come forward, and the Lord will point out the guilty family. Finally, each member of the guilty family must come forward one by one. The one who has stolen was set apart for destruction will be burned with fire, along with everything he has. For he has broken the covenant of the Lord and has done a horrible thing in Israel." Early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes of Israel before the Lord, and the tribe of Judah was singled out. Judah means praise, by the way. Then the clans of Judah came forward, and the clan of Zerah was singled out. Then the families of Zerah came forward, and the family of Zimri was singled out. Then every member of Zimri's family was brought forward person by person, and Achan was singled out. Then Joshua said to Achan, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, by telling the truth. Make your confession and tell me what you've done, and don't hide it from me." Achan replied, "It is true. I've sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. Among the plunder, I saw a beautiful robe from Babylon, 200 silver coins, and a bar of gold that weighed more than a pound. I wanted them so much that I took them. They are hidden in the ground beneath my tent with the silver buried deeper than the rest." Doesn't matter how deep you bury your sin, the Lord's going to find it. You better uncover it before he does. So Joshua sent some men to make a search. They ran to the tent and found the stolen goods hidden there, just as Achan had said, with the silver buried beneath the rest. They took the things from the tent and brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites. Then they laid them on the ground in the presence of the Lord. Then Joshua and all of Israel took Achan, the silver, the robe, the bar of gold, his sons, daughters, cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, tents, and everything he had. I almost started rapping. And they brought them to the valley of Acre. Then Joshua said to Achan, "Why have you brought trouble on us? The Lord will now bring trouble on you." And all the Israelites stoned Achan and his family and burned their bodies. They piled a great heap of stones over Achan, which remains to this day. This is why the place is called the Valley of Trouble, ever since the Lord was no longer angry. Some of you are like, that's so sad, but remember, his sin caused like thousands of men to die too. Don't forget about that. Chapter 8. The Israelites defeat A. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid or discouraged. Take all your fighting men and attack A, for I have given you the king of A, his people, his town, and his land. You'll destroy them as you destroyed Jericho and its kings. But this time you may keep the plunder and the livestock for yourselves, and set an ambush behind the town." So Joshua and all the fighting men... I'm sorry. What was that? My mouse just... Oh, okay. So Joshua and all the fighting men sent out to attack A, and Joshua chose 30,000 of his best warriors and set them out at night with those orders: hide in ambush close behind the town and be ready for action. When our main army attacks the men of A, they'll come out and fight as they did before, and we will run away from them. We will let them chase us until we have drawn them away from the town, for they will say, this is what the men of A will say, for they will say, the Israelites are running away as they did before. Then while we are running from them, you'll jump up from your ambush and take possession of the town. The Lord your God will give it to you. Set the town on fire as the Lord has commanded. You have your orders. So they left and went to the place of ambush between Bethel and the west of A, but Joshua remained among the people in the camp that night. Early the next morning, Joshua aroused his men and started toward A, accompanied by the elders of Israel. All the fighting men who were with Joshua marched in front of the town and camped on the north side of A. What did Jared say? Everyone's saying, Jared says something funny. Hold on, I gotta find it. What did he say? This better be funny. Oh, he said, please rap. Okay, I was like, I'm scrolling up. Better be funny here. That night, Joshua sent 5,000 men to lie in ambush between Bethel and A on the west side of the town. So they stationed the main army north of the town and the ambush west of the town, and Joshua himself spent the night in the valley. When the king of A saw the Israelites across the valley, and all his armies hurried out early morning and attacked the Israelites at a place overlooking the Jordan Valley. But he didn't realize there was an ambush behind the town. Joshua and the Israelite armies fled toward the wilderness as they were badly beaten. Then all the men of the town were called out to chase after them. In this way, they were lured away from the town. There was not a man left in A or Bethel who did not chase after the Israelites, and the town was left wide open. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Point the spear in your hand toward A, for I'll hand the town over to you." Joshua did as he was commanded. As soon as Joshua gave the signal, all the men in ambush jumped from their position and poured into the town. They quickly captured it and set it on fire. When the men of A looked behind them, smoke from the town was filling the sky, and they had nowhere to go. For the Israelites who had fled in every direction of the wilderness now turned on their pursuers. When Joshua and all the other Israelites saw that the ambush had succeeded and smoke was rising from the town, they turned and attacked the men of A. Meanwhile, the Israelites who were inside the town came and attacked the enemy from the rear. So the men of A were caught in the middle with the Israelite fighters on both sides. Israel attacked them, and not a single person survived or escaped. Only the king of A was taken alive and brought to Joshua. All right. When the Israelite army finished chasing and killing all the men of A in the open fields, they went back and finished off everyone inside. So the entire population of A, including men, women, and children, were wiped out that day, 12,000 in all. For Joshua kept holding out his spear until everyone who had lived in A was completely destroyed. That is brutal. Only the livestock and the treasure of the town were not destroyed, for the Israelites kept this plunder for themselves, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. Joshua burned the town of A, and it became a permanent mound of ruins, desolate to this very day. Joshua impaled the king of A on a sharpened pole and left him there until evening. At sunset, the Israelites took down the body as Joshua commanded, and they threw it in front of the town gate. They piled a great heap of stones over him that can still be seen to this day. So brutal. Then Joshua built an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal. He followed the commands that Moses, the Lord's servant, had written in the book of instruction. "Make me an altar from the stones that are uncut and have not been shaped with iron tools." Then on the altar they presented burnt offerings and peace offerings to the Lord. And as Israelites watched, Joshua copied onto the stones of the altar the instructions Moses had given them. Then all the Israelites, foreigners, and native-born alike, with the elders, officers, and judges, were divided into two groups. One group stood in front of Mount Gerizim, and the other in front of Mount Ebal. Each group faced each other, and between them stood the Levitical priests carrying the ark of the Lord's covenant. This was all done according to the commands that Moses, the servant of the Lord, had previously given for blessing of the people of Israel. Joshua then read to them all the blessings and curses Moses had written in the book of instruction. Please tell me we're not going to go through all those again. Every word of every command that Moses had ever given was read to the entire assembly of Israel, including the women and children and the foreigners who lived among them. Chapter 9. The Gibeonites deceive Israel. I preached a sermon on the Gibeonites a long time ago too. Now all the kings west of the Jordan River heard about what happened. These were the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Michanites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, Chick-fil-A, and Jebusites, who lived in the hill country in the western hills, and along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea as far north as the Lebanon mountains. These kings combined their armies to fight as one against Joshua and the Israelites. But when the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they resorted to deception to save themselves. They sent in it. This is the enemy. The devil knows he can't defeat you because you're stronger than him. So what does he do? He resorts to deception. He can't defeat you. He has no power against you. He has to deceive you because you're more powerful than him. And that's exactly what these people did, which is that's kind of what my sermon was about. They sent ambassadors to Joshua, loading their donkeys with weathered sandbags and old patched wineskins. They put on worn-out patched sandals and ragged clothes, and the bread they took with them was dry and moldy. When they arrived at the camp of Israel at Gilgal, they told Joshua and the men of Israel, "We've come from a distant land to ask you to make a peace treaty with us." The Israelites replied to these Hivites, "How do we know you don't live nearby? For if you do, we cannot make a treaty with you." They replied, "We are your servants." This is sin. Sin is innocent. It's deceptive. It comes nicely. Maybe it's that ex-girlfriend for some of you, but it comes nicely saying like, "We're not going to hurt you. We're not going to harm you. Look, we're innocent. We want to be your friends. We're your servants." Sin tries to tell you it wants to serve you when really it wants to destroy you. It's really an enemy. "But who are you?" Joshua demanded. "Where did you come from?" "Your servants have come from a very distant country. We've heard of the might of the Lord your God and all you did in Egypt. We also heard that what he did to the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan. So our elders and all our people instructed us, take supplies for a long journey." And of course they're lying. They're right from their area. They're not from a long journey. "Go meet with the people of Israel and tell them, we are servants. Please make a treaty. The bread was hot from the ovens when we left our homes, but now you can see it's dry and moldy. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but now they're old and split open. And our clothing and sandals are worn out from this very long journey." And of course, all of this is a lie. So the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult the Lord. Preach, brother. They examined, but they didn't consult with the Lord. Some of you examine that relationship and you're like, "Oh, it'll be fine to date her." But you didn't inquire with the Lord. You didn't consult. She might be a Gibeonite. She might be deceiving you. You're like, "Oh, I like the guy." You examined him, but you didn't consult with the Lord. You examined the job, like, "Oh, this would be a good job for my family, for me to provide for my family." But you didn't consult with the Lord. You see, this is the key. Highlight this. You examine the situation, but if you don't consult with the Lord, this is where the Gibeonite deception comes in. Then Joshua made a peace treaty with them and guaranteed their safety. And the leaders of the community ratified their agreement with a binding oath. 3 days after making the treaty, they learned, sometimes you just have to learn the hard way. I hate to say it. They learned that these people actually lived nearby. You learned that the guy you're dating doesn't really love the Lord. You learned that the girl you're dating is really Jezebel. What? The Israelites set out at once to investigate and reach their towns in 3 days. The names of these towns were Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack the towns, for the Israelite leaders made a vow in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. Don't make a vow with your enemies. The people of Israel gambled against their leaders because of the treaty. But the leaders replied, "Since we've sworn an oath in the presence of the Lord, we cannot touch them. This is what we must do. We must let them live, for divine anger would come upon us if we broke our oath. Let them live." So they made them woodcutters and water carriers for the community, and the Israelite leaders directed. Joshua called together the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you lie to us? Why did you say that you live in a distant land when you live right here among us? Why did you say that you're a Christian and you're a man of God, but you never go to church or pray or read your Bible? And now we're married and you're all you do is play video games all day." Preach, brother. All right. I got to move on. "May you be cursed. From now on, you'll always be servants who cut wood and carry water for the house of my God." They replied, "We did it because your servants were clearly told that the Lord your God commanded his servant Moses to give you the entire land and destroy all the people living in it. So we feared greatly for our lives because of you, and that's why we've done this. Now we're at your mercy. Do whatever you think is right." So Joshua, so what should you do to sin? You need to become its master. Rather than letting sin master you, you become sin's master and you master it. And that's what they did here. They became the masters of the Gibeonites. So Joshua did not allow the people of Israel to kill them, but to that day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters, water carriers for the entire community of Israel, and for the altar of the Lord, wherever the Lord would choose to build, and that is what they did to this day. So yeah, they mastered them. What chapter are we going to? This is just so much easier to read. I feel like I could do this all day. Okay, we're going to chapter 14. Chapter 10. Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had captured and completely destroyed Ai and killed its kings, just as he destroyed the towns of Jericho and killed its kings. He also learned that the Gibeonites had made peace with Israel and were now their allies. Well, I mean, not by choice, by deception. He and his people became very afraid when they heard all that, because Gibeon was a large town, as large as the royal cities and larger than Ai, and the Gibeonite men were strong warriors. So King Adonizedek, King Adonizedek of Jerusalem sent messengers to several other kings, Hoham of Hebron, Piram of Jarmuth, Japhia of Lachish, and Deber of Eglon. Come and help me destroy Gibeon, he urged them. For they have made peace with Joshua and the people of Israel. So these 5 Amorite kings combined their armies for a unified attack. They moved all their troops into place and attacked Gibeon. This is the way the enemy sees us. The way all these kings in the Old Testament are like, we're so afraid of the people of God. This is the devil towards us. This is how the devil fears us. He's actually afraid of us. The demons are actually afraid of us. The men of Gibeon quickly sent messengers to Joshua at his camp in Gilgal. Don't abandon your servants now, they pleaded. Come at once and save us. Help us. For all the Amorite kings who live in the hill country have joined forces to attack us. So Joshua, his entire army, including his best warriors, left Gilgal and set out for Gibeon. Do not be afraid of them, the Lord said to Joshua, for I've given you victory over them. Not a single one of them will be able to stand up to you. Joshua traveled all night from Gilgal and took the Amorite armies by surprise. The Lord threw them into a panic, and the Israelites slaughtered great numbers of them at Gibeon. Then the Israelites chased the enemy along the road to Beth Horon, killing them all along the way to Azekah and Makkedah. As the Amorites retreated down from the Beth Horon, the Lord destroyed them with a terrible hailstorm from heaven. They continued until they reached Azekah. The hail killed more of the enemy than the Israelites killed with the sword. On the day the Lord gave the Israelites victory over the Amorites, Joshua prayed to the Lord in front of all the people of Israel. He said, let the sun stand still over Gibeon and the moon over the valley of Ajalon. So the sun stood still and the moon stayed in place until the nation of Israel had defeated its enemies. There's this science article that says that NASA proved that there was one day in history where the sun stood still the entire day. I forgot where the article is, but I read it because I was preaching this a long time ago. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is actually this is scientifically proven that the sun stayed still for an entire day. Is this event not recorded in the book of Jasher? The sun stayed in the middle of the sky and it did not set as normal on that day. There has never been a day like this one before or since when the Lord answered such a prayer. Surely the Lord fought for Israel that day. Then Joshua and the Israelite army returned to their camp at Gilgal. Talk about daylight savings. During the battle, the 5 kings escaped and hid in a cave at Makkedah. When Joshua heard that they had been found, he issued this command. Cover the opening of the cave with large rocks and place guards at the entrance to keep the kings inside. Throw tear gas inside and flush them out. I'm just kidding. The rest of you continue chasing the enemy and cut them down from the rear. Don't give them a chance to get back to their towns, for the Lord your God has given you victory over them. So Joshua and the Israelites' army continued to slaughter and completely destroy the enemy, or completely crushed. They totally wiped out the 5 armies except for the tiny remnant that managed to reach their fortified towns. Then the Israelites returned safely to Joshua in the camp of Makkedah, and after that, no one dared to even speak a word against Israel. Then Joshua said, remove the rocks covering the opening of the cave and bring the 5 kings to me. So they brought the 5 kings out of the cave, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they brought them out, Joshua told the commanders of his army, come and put your feet on the kings' necks. And they did as they were told. Don't be afraid or discouraged, Joshua told his men. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord is going to do this to all your enemies. That's a painful sermon illustration. Joshua's like, come out here. All right, I want you to put your feet on their necks. And this is what the Lord's going to do to everyone who comes against us. And the kings are like, why? Ouch. Stop, please. Then Joshua killed each of the 5 kings and impaled them on 5 sharpened poles, where they hung until evening. As the sun was going down, Joshua gave instructions for the bodies of the kings to be taken from the poles and thrown in the cave where they'd been hiding. Then they covered the opening of the cave with a pile of large rocks, which remains to this very day. Some of y'all would not survive back then. I wouldn't. I stubbed my toe and I'm over there crying. I would not be able to do all this and survive this stuff. This is crazy. The same day Joshua captured and destroyed the town of Manteca, he killed everyone in it, including the king, leaving no survivors. He destroyed them all and killed the king of Manteca as he killed the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and the Israelites went to Libnah and attacked it. There the Lord gave them the town and its king. He killed everyone in it, leaving no survivors. Then Joshua killed the king of Libnah and he killed the king of Jericho. From Libnah, Joshua and the Israelites went to Lachish and attacked it. Here again, the Lord gave them Lachish. Joshua took it on the second day and killed, everyone in it, just as he done in Libnah. No wonder everyone's afraid of them. He's going around killing everybody. During the attack on Lachish, King Hiram of Jazer arrived with his army to help defend the town. But Joshua's men killed him and his army, leaving no survivors. Then Joshua and the Israelite army went on to Eglon and attacked it. They captured it and killed everyone in it. He completely destroyed everyone as he did in Lachish. From Eglon, Joshua and the Israelite army went to Hebron and attacked it. They captured the town and killed everyone in it, including its king, leaving no survivors. They did the same thing to all the surrounding villages, and just as he had done at Eglon, he completely destroyed the entire population. Then Joshua and the Israelites turned back and attacked Debir. Nobody's safe out here. He captured the town, its kings, and all its surrounding villages, and completely destroyed everyone in it, leaving no survivors. He did to Debir and its king what he did to Hebron and Libnah and its king. So Joshua conquered the whole region, the kings and the people of the hill country. The Negev, the western hills, the mountain slopes. He completely destroyed everyone in the land, leaving no survivors, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, commanded. Joshua slaughtered them from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza and from the region around the town of Goshen up to Gibeon. Joshua conquered all these kings and their land in a single campaign, for the Lord, the God of Israel, was fighting for his people. Then Joshua and the Israelite army returned to their camp at Gilgal. Chapter 11. When King Jabin of Hazor heard what happened, he sent messages to the following kings. King Jobab of Madon, the king of Shimron, the king of, I don't know how to say that word. All the kings of the northern hill country, the kings in the Jordan Valley south of Galilee, the kings in the Galilean foothills, the kings of Naphoth Dor on the west, the kings of Canaan, both east and west, the kings of Amorites, Hittites, Micanite, Perizzites, Jebusites in the hill country, and the Hivites in the towns of the slopes of Mount Hermon in the land of Mizpah. All these kings came out to fight, and their combined armies were a vast horde. And with all their horses and chariots, they covered the landscape like the sand on the seashore. The kings joined forces and established their camp around the water near Merom to fight against Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them. By this time tomorrow I'll hand them over to you, Israel, as dead men. Then you must cripple their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and all his fighting men traveled to the water near Merom and attacked suddenly. And the Lord gave them victory over their enemies. The Israelites chased them as far as the greater Sidon and Misrephothmaim and the eastward into the valley of Mizpah until one of the enemy warrior was left alive. Then Joshua crippled the horses and burned all the chariots as the Lord had instructed. Joshua then turned back and captured Hazor and killed its king. The Israelites completely destroyed every living thing in the city, leaving no survivors. Not a single person was spared. And then Joshua burned the city. Joshua slaughtered all the other kings and their people and completely destroyed them, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. But the Israelites did not burn any of the towns built on mounds except Hazor, which Joshua burned. And the Israelites took all the plunder and livestock and the ravaged towns for themselves. And they killed all the people, leaving no survivors. As the Lord had commanded his servant Moses, so Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did as he was told, carefully obeying all the commands the Lord has given to Moses. So Joshua conquered the entire region, the hill country of the entire Negev, the whole area around the town of Goshen, the western foothills, the Jordan Valley, the mountains of Israel, and the Galilean foothills. The Israelite territory now extended all the way from the Mount Halak, which led up to Seir in the south, as far as Balagad at the foot of Mount Hermon in the valley of Lebanon. Joshua killed all the kings of those territories, waging war for a long time to accomplish this. No one in this region made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites of Gibeon, and all the others were defeated. So those Gibeons that deceived, they are the only ones that were safe. For the Lord hardened their heart and caused them to fight the Israelites. So they were completely destroyed without mercy, as the Lord commanded Moses. During this period, Joshua destroyed all the descendants of Anak, who lived in the hill country of Hebron, Debar, Anab, and the entire hill country of Judah and Israel. Killed them all and completely destroyed their towns. None of the descendants of Anak were left in all the land of Israel, though some still remained in Gaza, Goth, and Ashdod. So Joshua took control of the entire land as the Lord had instructed Moses. He gave it to the people of Israel as their special possession, dividing the land among the tribes, so the land finally had rest from war. Chapter 12. These are the kings east of the Jordan River who had been killed by the Israelites and whose land was taken. Their territory extended from the Arnon Gorge to the Mount Hermon and included all the land east of the Jordan Valley. King Sihon of the Amorites, who lived in... okay, I'm not going to... Well, I guess I'll just read these. I'll try. King Sihon of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, was defeated. His kingdom included Orior on the edge of the Arnon Gorge and extended from the middle of the Arnon Gorge to the Jabbok River, which serves as a border for the Ammonites. This territory included the southern half of the territory of Gilead. Sihon also controlled the Jordan Valley and regions to the east from the far north as the Sea of Galilee to the far south as the Dead Sea, including the road to Beth Jeheshimah and southward to the slopes of Pisgah. King Og of Bashan, the last of the Rephates, lived at the and Edrei. He ruled the territory stretching from the Mount Hermon. I know you guys just like to see me struggle. I know some of you are getting joy out of this, me stumbling, can't read these words. All right. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites had destroyed the people of King Sihon and King Og, and Moses gave their land as a possession to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half a tribe of Manasseh. The following is a list of kings that Joshua and the Israelites defeated on the west side of the Jordan from Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which leads up to Sur, including the hill country in the western hills, the Jordan Valley, the mountain slopes, the Judean wilderness, and the Negev. The people who lived in these regions were the Hittites, Amorites, Michanites, Canaanites, Perizzites, and Hivites, and the Jebusites, and these are the kings. Okay, so I'm not going to read all these. They're just all the kings that he killed. So there's a long list there. You guys can read them. Chapter 13. When Joshua, 31 kings were defeated. When Joshua was an old man, the Lord said to him, "You're growing old, and too much land remains to be conquered." So after all of this, Joshua is literally killing everybody. For the last 5 chapters, Joshua has killed everybody you can think of, but he still had lots of land to conquer. This is the territory that remains. All the region of the Philistines and the Geshurites, and the larger territory of the Canaanites, extending from the stream of Shihor on the border of Egypt, northward to the boundary of Ekron. It includes the territory of the 5 Philistine rulers of Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron, the land of the Avites. In the south also remains to be conquered. In the north, the following area has not been conquered in the land of the Canaanites, including Mira, stretching northward to Aphek on the border of the Amorites. The land of the Gibeonites and all the Lebanon mountain area to the east from Baal Gad below Mount Hermon to Leb Hamath. And all the hill country from Lebanon to here we go again, Mesrephothmem, including the land of the Sidonians. I myself will drive these people out of the land ahead of the Israelites. So be sure to give this land to Israel as a special possession, just as I've commanded you. Include all this territory as Israel's possession when you divide the land among the 9 tribes and the half tribe of Manasseh. The land divided, okay? So here's all the land that was divided. I'm not going to try to pronounce all these. I just did already. An allotment. Moses did not assign any allotment of the land to the tribe of Levi. Instead, as the Lord promised them, their allotment was come from the offerings burned on the altar to the Lord, the God of Israel. Moses assigned the following to the clans of Reuben. So this is the land he gave the tribe of Reuben. Just listen to these names. Just listen to these names. Beth Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, at Beth Jeshimoth. Like, how am I supposed to pronounce these? All right. The land given to the tribe of Gad. Again, you guys can read this. I'm not going to sit here and stumble for 20 minutes. If you want to read all the land and pronounce all the names, it's right there in your Bible. Okay, this is all the land he gave them. Just know that he's just distributing land to people. That's what he's doing, okay? He's distributing land here and there. Chapter 14. The remaining tribes of Israel received land in Canaan as allotted by Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the tribal leaders. These 9.5 tribes received their grants of land by means of sacred lots in accordance with the Lord's command through Moses. Moses had already given a grant of land to the 2.5 tribes of the east side of the Jordan River, but he'd given the Levites no such allotment. The descendants of Joseph had become 2 separate tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and the Levites were given no land at all, only towns to live in with surrounding pasture lands for their livestock and all their possessions. So the land was distributed in strict accordance with the Lord's command to Moses. Verse 6, a delegation from the tribe of Judah, led by Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kenizzite, came to Joshua at Gilgal. Caleb said to Joshua, remember what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, about you when you were there at Kadesh Barnea. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land of Canaan. I returned and gave an honest report, but my brothers who went with me frighten the people from entering the promised land. For my part, I wholeheartedly followed the Lord my God. So that day Moses solemnly promised me, the land of Canaan on which you are just walking will be your grant of land and your descendants forever, because you wholeheartedly followed the Lord my God. Now, as you can see, the Lord has kept me alive and well, as he promised me all these 45 years since Moses made this promise. Even while Israel wandered in the wilderness, today I'm 85 years old. I'm as strong now as I was when Moses sent me on the journey, and I can still travel and fight as well as I could then. So give me the hill country. How is that even possible? I'm 33, and I played pickleball yesterday and my back's sore. And this guy's over here like, I'm old, 85, but I'm still fine. Crazy. I need whatever he has. You'll remember as scouts, we found the descendants of Anak living there in great walled towns. Wall. But if the Lord is with me, I'll drive them out of the land, just as the Lord said. So Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and gave Hebron to him as a portion of the land. Hebron still belongs to the descendants of Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Kenizzite, because he wholeheartedly followed the Lord, the God of Israel. Praise the Lord. This is so much easier. This is the first day of 16 days where we've had just like stories we can read. It's just so much easier than Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy. I feel like I could do this all day. This is way easier. Reading all the laws and stuff is just way more difficult. Amen. All right, chat. Different foods. Yeah, they must be drinking a lot of water. It's so hard not to read the chat. It's so hard not. He ate veggies when he was a kid. It's so hard. He must have watched a lot of VeggieTales. It's so hard not to read the chat when I'm reading because I'm like distracted. My eyes are like, going to the chat and then I'm trying to go back. It's just hard not to read the chat. Isaiah means Yahweh is salvation. Awesome. Thank you, brother. What do you guys think about it? Wasn't it just easier to listen to and read? It's just like smoother storytelling, all that good stuff. God bless you all. Someone said, I want 2 hours a day. This is fun. I look forward to this. It's like, you know what I'm excited for? The book of Job. I love the book of Job. And I'm excited for Proverbs, Job. I mean, there's a bunch of good books. But yeah, I like Jonah as well. Alyssa's doing good. Continue to pray for her. She has a fever. She's still recovering. So yes. Guys, when it comes to the genealogy and all the crazy names, you can read them on your own time. Okay? I read them in the stories, but when it's just straight names only, it's too monotonous and like it just throws me off. Too many to try and pronounce. So when it's small portions, I will, but if it's like long genealogies, you can just read it on your own time. My wife's doing good. Continue to pray for her. Thank you guys. Jared will be doing, I cannot wait for Proverbs. Jared will be doing tomorrow's. I will be live tomorrow night with the book of Hebrews. Excuse me, once again. And then Tuesday, we have a 2 p.m. Bible reading, 6 o'clock podcast with a new guest. The guest we're having on Tuesday night, she actually used to have a show on the Travel Channel where she used to go to haunted places and look for ghosts and has like, she had like the little detectors and all the fake stuff they use. And she got saved. So she used to have a Travel Channel show about ghost hunting. She got saved. Now she's doing deliverance. She's a worship leader, all that. She'll be on Tuesday. It'll be a great interview. So my wife, it'll be a couple weeks. Yeah, she had major surgery on Wednesday. So thanks for praying for her. Also pray about partnering. My dad said I'm the man. Thanks, Dad. My dad always texts me after and says that my flannel's nice. So thank you, Dad. It's just that Mexican in me. It's that Mexican. Got that flannels. Isaiah Saldivar. Funny enough, I never even wear flannels. Like outside of these lives, I never wear flannel. Never. But anyway, that's here nor there. Pray about becoming a monthly partner. You can do that. That supports us because all of our content is free. And that's all there. Links in the description, all over the screen, and all that good stuff. Also, make sure you order the book on Amazon, How to Cast Out Demons. Guys, the support on the book has been insane. I just want you guys to know, I cannot tell you how grateful I am. It's done insanely well. There's like this book report where every Christian book, it's just Christian. Every Christian book is on this huge like list that all the distributors get for sales. And of all the Christian books, not just spiritual warfare, not charismatic, not all the Christian books for the 3 months from November, December, January, and then February 1st. So 3 months, we were number 6. That's a huge accomplishment. It's such a huge accomplishment that another one of the major Christian publishers, they're the ones that sent me the form. They were like, look at your book is on the number 6 for all Christian books for a 3-month period in sales. So thank you guys so much. I did not expect the book to do this good. It's number 2 right now, still on Amazon, which is insane because usually you're number 2 or 3 for like 2 weeks and then you get bumped off. We've been holding it for like almost 3 months. So it's insane. And it's not me, it's you guys, you know? It's the Lord, but it's you guys supporting, but it's the Lord. It's the favor of the Lord. So like, yeah, it's just crazy. I was going to find the report for you guys. Let me see if I can find it. I'll tell you like some of the names that are on there. It's just crazy. It's supernatural. It's supernatural. I did not expect it, especially because like our numbers right now on social are very low, like all of our social media numbers, but it's just been supernatural. So like in my area was like Sadie Robertson, which she's obviously huge. She sells insane books. I was right above David Jeremiah about his golden age, you know, coming of the golden age. I don't know some of these other authors. Billy Graham got number 13. So yeah, it's like, I'm right in there, guys. I'm right in there. Number 6, which is amazing. For Christian new releases. That's the last 3 months. Praise the Lord. Are the dogs still alive? None of them fall on their heads? No, they are alive, but one of them just got fixed because she was attacking our other dog, and she's just been going crazy. So the vet was like, you should fix her, and that'll make her calm. So yeah. So I appreciate all you guys. Really appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. All right, we will be live again tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and we will be live tomorrow night with our Book of Hebrews teaching, and then we'll be live again Tuesday, okay? And then, of course, every day. What am I even saying? We're live every day. Why am I even giving you the schedule? This next Sunday, so next Sunday, I will be preaching in Antioch, California at the Legendary Conference. I will post that. Why have I not posted that yet? I need to post that soon. What is wrong with me? All right, I will post that. I will post that today or tomorrow. It will get done. I'll post a flyer and everything. All right. I've been posting a flyer on Instagram, but I'll post like all that stuff. Thanks, Jared. Charlie's doing good. We have, how many cats do we have now? 5 cats now. We have Charlie, Pickles, Pepper, Bagheera, and I forgot the other one's name. They named it Meow Meow, but I think its name is Nala. Yeah, so that we have 5. We have those 2 new kittens, and then we have our other 3. All right, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. I had so much fun today. It was just so refreshing getting just to read normal stuff. Not talking about body discharge. Not talking about what to do if your wife attacks a man while you're fighting. If you know, you know. But it was good. Thank you guys for supporting and partnering. We also have prayer at 1 o'clock on Thursday. We got a lot going. Something going every day. Love you guys. You're chewing on a straw? Nice. All right, love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless. Bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, Patrick, Zoe, Evan, Tino, Violet, Tiff, Shane, Dragon Tamer, Vince Najera, Amy P, Diane, all my amazing mods. You guys are amazing. Evan, thank you, brother. Veronica, Aura, Diane, you're all awesome. You're awesome. All right, I love you.